Hello, welcome back if you've been here before. If you've not, hi, my name is Danny and this is going to be my reaction to the long list for the Women's Prize for Fiction. And I have to say I am very impressed by it and very excited to get reading some of these books. There's quite a few books that I did not see on people's lists, so I'm quite excited to give them a go. And in general, I just think it's a really great list. I'm going to go through it just in the order that it's on the Women's Prize for Fiction website, and I will just tell you if I'm excited about these books or if I'm not so excited. I got 2 out of the 16 correct of my predictions video, so yeah, you can go back and have a look at that if you want, but I will tell you the 2 that I got right as we go through it. My throat is a bit funny, but we're just going to go with it. So first of all, there is Good Girl by Aria Aber. I do have my notes down here, that's why I'm looking down. So this is set in Berlin. It is a story of a girl who is the daughter of Afghan refugees, and it's basically, it sounds like a coming of age story where it's a year of her in nightclubs, bad romances, and discovering herself. So yeah, very much a coming of age story. I think it said in the blurb that she was 19. So yeah, that is one that I'm on the fence about, but I do remember that I really liked Kirsty Cape's Careless, and that was a coming of age story, so I'm hoping that I do actually enjoy this and I'm pleasantly surprised. The next one is The Ministry of Time by Kayleen Bradley. Now this, I saw this mentioned a couple of times, and I think a couple of times I saw it mentioned it was like an honorary mention. So I don't know if this is quite surprising for the Women's Prize for Fiction, because it's a sci-fi, time travel, romance sort of book, and I don't know if I've seen that type of book on the long list before, but it is a story of a civil servant and she's offered this job for this new government ministry and they gather expats from across the history to test whether time travel is feasible or not. And she has to work with this Commander Graham Gore, who is from 1847, and it's basically described as a love story between these two. But I have spoken to Jack from Spread Book Joy and she says that the book is nothing like what the blurb says, so we're just going to see what we think of it. This one's sort of medium on my radar as to whether I'm excited to read it or not, but it's definitely one that I want to give a go. Then next we have Somewhere Else by Jenny Dykes. Dykes? I think it's Dykes. And this is a generational story about a young girl called Rosa, and when she's 5 years old her family are murdered and she's forced to leave everything that she has, and she only leaves with a suitcase and her father's violin, and it spans over 2 world wars, the creation of Israel and the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now this is one that I had never heard of, never seen it about. You can get it on Kindle, so you can get it on, it's on audiobook and it's on, like you can buy it physically, but at the moment it's not on Kindle. So I will be listening to this on audio I think, but this one is quite high up on my list because it's historical, spans over a lifetime, which is definitely my kind of book to read. Then we have Amma by Sareed De Silva. Now this is a multi-generational book. It follows Josefina, her daughter Stethera and her granddaughter Annie. And then it says that Annie sets out to find what's happened to split up her family. It's set in Sri Lanka, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia and London. It's a novel about family, displacement, secrets and how the past can live with us forever. So this one, yes, this is very high up on my list. This is actually one of the ones that I am desperate to read. So I will definitely be looking for that in the near future. Then we have Crooked Secrets by Karen Jennings. So this one I've just looked at the blurb because I was trying to write down a synopsis for it and my brain was not braining. So it says, Deirdre is a victim of her family, her society, her history. That is how she sees herself, and so she feels free of all obligations, moral and practical, until the police take her back to her family home. So she's taken back to this home in Cape Town, and it says that they're still sort of living with the consequences of apartheid, and it says she lives from day to day in squalor, largely created by herself, borrowing, persuading, caging her way from the water trucks to the bar, testing the tolerance and pity of everyone she knows. And then she is contacted by the police and taken by a respectful constable to the house where she grew up and where she lost her leg in a shattering explosion while still young. Faced with what is found there, she has to accept the truth of her past and of her older brother, her parents' golden boy. Then she must confront herself and her responsibility of what it is truly to be a victim. So that sounds pretty interesting to me. Sounds like a book where she's going to come to a realisation that perhaps she is not a victim. So this one I will place medium on my interest level. Then we have All Fours by Miranda July. This is about a semi-famous artist who's going to go on a road trip from LA to New York, but then 30 minutes into this journey she just decides to come off the freeway and checks into a motel, and she has a husband and a child who she's left behind, and it says this begins her reinvention. So it sounds like a story of self-discovery. I'm not gonna lie, this one's pretty low on my list. It just does not sound like a me type of book, so I will probably not go to read it immediately, and if it's on the short list then I will read it, but it's not one I'm running out to read at the moment. Then we have The Dream Hotel by Leila Lalame, and this is about a woman called Sarah. She's on her way home from a conference and she is pulled aside by the Risk Assessment Administration, and they have been looking at her dreams, and then they've analysed the data, and they have said that she is a risk to her husband because her dreams indicate that she is going to harm him some way. So then she is transferred to this retention centre, and she is going to stay there for 21 days for her husband's safety. But this place sounds like it might be trying to keep people longer because there's all these rules in place, and if you break any of these rules then you're kept in this place for longer. So I feel like that has a very interesting concept. It sounds different, it sounds a bit like a mystery, and yeah, I do like the sound of that. I think I will place it medium to high. Yeah, let's go with that. Then we have The Persians by Sanam Maluji. I'm so sorry for my mispronunciation of these names. So this follows the women of the Valent family. So it says in Iran they're somebodies, in America they're nobodies, and it spans from the 1940s to a splintered 2000s. So it's the 1940s Iran, and I assume it's the 2000s Iran as well. It says it looks at a family in crisis that explores timeless questions of love, money, art and fulfillment. So this is yet again another multi-generational family book. When I looked it up, it follows, the blurb was massive, and it follows all these different women of this family. So yeah, I feel like this book is quite high up on my wanting to read list. I love, as you may be able to tell from this, I do love a multi-generational book. I love a book that spans like a very long period of time, and I love finding out about different members of a family, so this sounds right up there. Then we have Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Now, I have not read any of her books before, but I have heard mixed things about them. But yeah, I am interested in this one. It follows 4 women. So it follows Chiamaka, and she's a Nigerian travel writer who is now living in America, and it is set during the pandemic, and because she's all alone, she's now beginning to think about her past lovers and her regrets that she has. Then it also follows her best friend Sakura, who is a lawyer, but she's been betrayed and heartbroken. Then there's Omelogar, who is her cousin, and she's this financial powerhouse in Nigeria, but she begins to question how well she knows herself. And then we have Kadiatu, who's her housekeeper, who's raising her daughter in America, but then she faces a hardship that threatens everything that she's worked hard for. So I'm going to count this one as quite high on my list. That sounds... Another thing I love is when a book has different points of view, but if it's focused on women, I really enjoy that. So this one seems to be quite heavily women focused, and sounds like how they're going to deal with all of these different things that are happening in their life. So yeah, excited about that one. Then we have one that I guessed correctly and I am currently reading, which is Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell. I am 25% into this. So this is following Kira. She is a mother of 2 and her husband is abusive to her. He's not physically abusive, but he is definitely emotionally abusive to her. He's horrible. And one day she's had enough and she packs up packs her daughters into the car, takes the washing off the line and decides that she is leaving her husband. And that's all I really want to say about it at the moment, because they're already 25% in. There's more that's happened than what is on the blurb, and it is, I am enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. I would so far definitely recommend that one. Right, I had to change my battery, so if I'm in a different position, that is why. So next we're going on to A Little Trickery by Rosanna Pike. Now this is set in medieval England. It follows a girl called Tib who finds herself, yes, Tib, she finds herself orphaned and all alone. So she soon discovers that there's people that she can trust and there's people that she cannot trust. But she also finds out that there are people who will believe literally anything, like me, probably very gullible. So when she finds an opportunity, her and her friends, it's an opportunity that presents itself that she can escape this hold that society has on her and her friends. So they come up with this plan that will be their greatest trickery yet. So it's a side of Tudor England that I have never read about before, so it does sound pretty interesting, and I will place this medium high on my list. Right, so the next one is Birding by Rose Ruan. This was another one that had a huge blurb on it, and as I say, my head was not working with trying to make it concise. So I found a little blurb that says, Birding is a beautiful, witty and powerful story set in and out of a seasoned seaside town about 2 women poised between a past they feel trapped by and a future just beyond reach, while they both find a way to soar despite clipped wings. This is one that was not on my radar at all. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It might be another one where if it makes the short list, I will read it. But if it doesn't, then it might be one that I just don't read. We'll see. Unless I hear very good reviews about it, and then I'll get FOMO and then I'll want to read it. So we'll see what happens. Then we have The Artist by Lucy Steeds. This is another one where I feel like the blurb was perfect, so I'm just going to read that. Set in 1920s, Etty moves through the remote farmhouse, silently creating the conditions that make her uncle's artistic genius possible. Joseph, as an aspiring journalist, has been invited to the house. He believes he'll make a name by interviewing the reclusive painter, the great Edward Tartuffe. But everyone has their secrets, and under the cover of darkness, Etty has spent years cultivating hers. Over this sweltering summer, everyone's true colours will be revealed, because Etty is ready to be seen, even if it means setting her world on fire. Now, this is a book that I think I like the sound of. I wouldn't have thought that it would be on my radar, but yeah, I do really like the sound of that. If you hear the baby in the background, she is actually happy and she is watching Dancing Fruits at the moment, but she is making it known that she's enjoying it. Then we have The Safekeep by Yale Vanderwoodson. Now there's always a Booker book on here. This was the one that was shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year. It is set 15 years after World War II in 1961 Netherlands. Follows Isabel, or Isa, and she lives this life of solitary and discipline. She knows what everything's accounted for, everything is perfect. And then her brother Louis asks if his girlfriend Eva can move into the home for the summer, and Isa is not happy about this, but she does, and she's not happy because she feels her personal space has been invaded. But as these two women spend lots of time together, a romantic relationship begins. So this one, I feel like actually this is a bit different from anything I ever normally read, but yeah, I do actually like the sound of this one. And then last but not least, we have Fundamentally by Nusaiba Yunus, and this is a debut novel, and it is about a woman called Nadia. She's been disowned by her mother, and she's also just been dumped, and she accepts a UN job in Iraq, and she has this job of rehabilitating ISIS women. She meets Sarah, another, it's yet again, previously it's spelled S-A-R-A, so it could be Sarah or Sarah. She joined ISIS when she was 15 and she is from London, and they actually find that they have a lot in common and they have a friendship that ensues. But then Sarah has a secret and she confesses this to Nadia, and this could actually have an effect on everything Nadia's been working for. This one is so high up on my list, it's like up here. I am loving the sound of it, and I meant to say The Safekeep was the second one that I had guessed. But yes, I'm going to go because you can probably hear that, and she is really making known that she likes her Dancing Fruits. But yes, tell me what you think of the long list. Are you happy by it? Do you like the sound of it? Let me know, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye bye!